All right, so from the school's website, you're going to go to menu. You're going to go to the activities tab to the drop down. From there, you're going to go ahead and click approvals and forms. This is sort of a quick overview for you on all the things that are required. This was from distance learning. However, everything is still true except that you need to print out hard copies and submit those to Maybell instead of emailing them to us. And you're going to scroll down. Here you're going to find all of the records of what has been approved and not approved. And you can go ahead and click by date to find if something that you have requested approval on, to see if that has been approved or not. And they are posted the week following the week they were approved. And here's all the different forms. You can still download them. They are still fillable documents that you can type into, or you can just print them out and handwrite them and then submit them. But again, you do need to submit a hard copy of all of these papers when you are requesting approval for anything. So let's go ahead and start with the club minutes. You're going to click that. It's going to request that you make a copy. So that way you're not editing mine and I don't have access to yours. This is your document. You can go ahead, it's going to be saved into your Google Drive once you've made a copy. And you can fill out all of this information that's going to be continuous. So, your club name, for example, if you have the same people who show up every single time, as long as they do show up every single time, but you can always go and edit that afterwards. And then you can print that information out and handwrite the rest or type out the whole thing up and again print it out and turn it in after that. The date, the club name. These are your participants. This is anything that you have talked about that's old business, is anything that you would discuss at the last meeting. New business is anything that you are talking about this meeting, including whatever items it is that you are filling out the paperwork for approvals. Your club rep needs to sign it. That can be any member from your club. Typically, though, it is one of your club officers, typically club president, the date they signed, the advisor signature, that is the faculty representative of the club, and the date that they are signing. So that's how you're going to complete this form. This piece of paperwork that you might need is a fundraiser approval request, and that is going to be any time that you are bringing money in. So whether that is the students in the clubs themselves are bringing things in, like say for example you're having your students purchase a spirit pack or something like that. Even if they are paying for their items, they are still bringing money in and giving money to Maybell. So she has to have a fundraiser request form completed so that she can set up the accounts to be able to process that money. So, with this one, this is today's date that you're having your meeting and filling this out, your club name, the advisor name, the account number. This is where it may be good to complete all of this information ahead of time and have that where you can just print it out whenever you're needing to do this. The date of the sale is when students are going to first start collecting money or bringing money in, and this is when it ends. The event date, again, it could be a range, it could be a specific date. So if you are doing a fundraiser that is, from certain time to a certain time, then this would be, say, for example, December 3rd through the 7th, and it's those 4 days or 5 days, whatever that is, that students are bringing money in or collecting money. Type of fundraiser. Is it a food sale? Is it a clothing sale? Is it, a restaurant night? Whatever it is, let us know what that is. Who will sell the items? Is it the students? Is it the restaurant? Is it the company who is running the sales? If it's just like all online and parents can go on and purchase items online, then it would be the company. How will the items be purchased? This is the best option, is the ASB purchase order. The district does not like or prefers to not be reimbursing advisors for items. So whenever possible that the school or the district can pay the company directly, that is the preferred method. For that, you're going to need the funds approval form, and we'll talk about that next. If the advisor is going to purchase and need a reimbursement, then you're going to mark off this one, and this will require a reimbursement form. Okay, so some of these are a little bit incorrect, but it's going to be the reimbursement form, and that has to be completed and approved before the advisor purchases the items. A receipt will be required to be submitted with that upon the actual reimbursement, and if the date on the receipt is after the date that the approval has been, that the reimbursement has been approved, you're good. If the date is before the date that the reimbursement was approved, you're not getting approved. Make sure you're doing your paperwork in the correct order. If it's other, say for example, you are doing a snack bar and all of your students are bringing items in, then that would be donation, because nobody is purchasing, and nobody from school is purchasing anything. The advisor or the district is not making the purchase. The students are bringing things in and donating. Cost of items, this could be a range. So if you're, again, say you're doing a snack bar and you're selling things for anywhere between $1 and $5, and you're going to put, $1 to $5. If it is a direct cost, like it's a swim team and you guys are purchasing bathing suits, and each bathing suit is $25, you're just going to put the exact amount. The selling price, okay, and this is the cost of the items. Okay, this is what you as the club or sport are purchasing them for. The selling price is what you're selling them for. So, maybe if you're doing the snack bar and things cost $1 to $5, maybe you're going to charge $2 to $10. Okay, and if it's a bathing suit and you guys are not trying to make money on these bathing suit sales, they may cost you $25, but you are selling them for $25. Number of items purchased. Again, if it's a snack bar, it could be, 100 to 200 items, depending on what you've got. If it is the bathing suits, in this example, maybe it's, 13, because there's 13 people on the team who need the swimsuit. Anticipated income or profit, that would be the difference between these two. Okay? Or difference between here. So if you are doubling your profit and you got 100 to 200 items, say you've got 100 items and you're expecting to double that, so maybe you're going to be making $100, or no, anticipated income, so you're anticipating you're going to make $200, anticipated profit would be 100. For the bathing suits, anticipated income would be however much these sell for, whatever 25 times 13 is, and anticipated profit would be 0, okay, because you're not trying to make money. Then for your club advisor approval, the advisor signs here, the student rep or class president or club president signs there, team captain, whoever it is. You date here and here, and you guys are done. From there, it goes to ASB, and our ASB president signs here, our treasurer signs here, and you're done. Okay, and they're gonna mark if it was approved or not approved. They will date here. If there's any comments, they'll mark them here. Okay, so that is how you fill out those. Filling out the funds approval form. The approval is given for what is your club name, what is your account, what is your available balance. This needs to be correct, okay? And this is going to go in the order that you are submitting things. So if you're submitting multiple funds approval forms, your available balance is going to go down as if you were purchasing each of these things. So say you have $2,000 as your starting balance, and this one is for $250, okay? That means your next available balance is going to be $1,750, okay? So if you fill out another one, this available balance is no longer $2,000, it's now $1,750. Okay, so make sure you are accounting for those things as well, because if all of your approvals go through, you need to have the money in the account to pay for them. To spend fundraising money in the amount of how much are you wanting to spend and what is it for? Okay. Who are we paying? If they're not already an approved vendor, which you can find out from Maybell, you're going to need to submit additional paperwork. There's another form that she's going to need for that. But if it's a vendor that you've gone through before, you should be good. And then the club advisor signs, student rep signs, date, and you're good. If we do not have these signatures, your paperwork is incomplete and it will not be processed. Completing the reimbursement request form. So this one's very similar. You're going to start by putting the date up at the top, the club name, the account number, your available balance, updated and current available balance based on what has been submitted already, to spend the fundraising amount and the amount of how much, approved for, okay, and this says the reimbursement to not exceed the amount approved above for. Okay, so that means if you're doing a reimbursement, you're allowing the club advisor or coach or whoever to go and purchase up to a certain amount. So that means that if you think it's going to be $250, you might want to do your reimbursement to not exceed $300 in case prices are slightly different, tax, etc., shipping, whatever. So make sure that you are getting that full amount in, because if you think, oh, the items are only going to cost us $250, but then you've got tax and delivery and now it's $275 and you've already only approved the $250, they cannot make that full purchase. Okay, or else it's going to create a whole bunch of issues, and audit findings not okay. Here is where you're going to put your advisor or the adult who's making the purchases, who you're reimbursing. And then again, club advisor, student rep. If you do not have these both signed, your paperwork is incomplete and it will not be processed. Okay, again, this must be approved before any purchases are made. Okay, you cannot submit this after somebody's already purchased things, because then it does not have the prior approval. So that is the big thing with that one. How to complete the excuse slip. All right, so for the excuse list, this is the information you need to know on how to fill this one out. So for this, you need to complete this entirely before you make any photocopies and give these out to your students. So the first thing that you need to put on here is your name or advisor name. So I'm going to fill this out like I'm filling it out for the assembly coming up, but again, you need to include your group's information. So for teacher advisor name, I'm going to write my last name. If you want to write your whole name, go for it. Group name is whatever your sport or club is. So for me, it's ASB. For you, it might be baseball or cheer. For group name, I'm going to write ASB, but you're going to write whatever your group name is. So that could be baseball or cheer or key club or quiz bowl, esports, whatever it is. The trip date, again, I'm filling it out as if this were for the assembly. So today, when I'm filling this out, this is November 28th, but the assembly is on the 3rd. This is so the attendance office can file these by trip date or by event date, so that way they know what day they need to adjust the attendance for. Administrative approval. This is where you need to go and find one of our administrators, either Mr. B, Ms. Scruton, Mr. Salash, Dr. Osman, and have them sign it. For the periods, this is how many periods you are taking responsibility for your students and ensuring that they are where they're supposed to be, doing what they're supposed to be doing. So if it's, say, it's for the assembly for one of the groups, it's just a second period that they need to miss. So you would just put period 2. Okay, and if that was the case, then you would go over here and circle period 2. So that way they know which one they need to get signed. And that's what you would need to do. For my group, for ASB, they are out the full day for setup and cleanup, or at least most of the day, usually until lunch. And so I'm going to do 0 period through period 5. So they'll go back to class after lunch. And so over here, I'm going to go and circle 0 through 5, and they'll get those signed. One last step before you make your copies is you need to do your student list. This is all of your students. So individual students are not just putting their name and student number. You need to have your entire roster here. So if you have 3 kids in your group, you're going to list their 3 names and student ID numbers. If you have a larger group, you're going to either write them in here. You can either write them in by hand like this, or you can print out and attach a roster. I have mine that I have just photocopied to the back of this page, and then that way the students then will highlight their name. So say they are highlighting, they're going to highlight their name so I know who it is. And then, that's after I've made the copies and give them all their own copies. And then I pass them out to my students. I give them a due date prior to the date of the event. Okay. So like for this one, my students will have these due back to me by Thursday the 2nd. Okay. So that way I can go through and organize all of my own paperwork and submit one master list to the attendance office. If you have a small group, submitting a paper copy like this, fine, no big deal. If you have a large group, like I have about 60 students in ASB, I submit a hard copy like this so that she has all of this information, but then I submit a digital list of my roster that has the student ID numbers all digital, so it makes it easier for her to go in and put all that information when she's going through to do all the excuses for students and change their absences to business. Again, this form needs to be filled out anytime you have students out of class. So if you are doing any sort of activity, whether it's on campus or off, where students are absent from their class period and teachers would be marking the students absent, you need to have them complete an excuse slip. Okay, if you have any questions, please ask me. I'm happy to help you, but do not hand your students a blank excuse slip and be like, good luck, because they don't know what to do any more than you do. All right, let me know if you have questions. Thanks.